everyone, Gary Simon here of DesignCourse.com. Welcome to Design Challenge 28, the review, and that challenge was based on designing a clever/witty tech t-shirt. All right, so I sent over Glenn Jones the thread with all the entries. We had about 35, I think, and he did choose a winner, and the winner is PA Bomb's chicken Star Wars theme. And that's basically, why did the chicken cross the road? It's to get to the other side, the dark side. All right, so if I were to choose the winner, or I've chosen the winner, it would have been Breach Design's JPEG. I think it's a little bit more relevant to the intended topic, which is supposed to be about, programming or just the internet in general. All right, so anyhow, nonetheless, the official rule stated that Glenn Jones would be picking the winner, so I'll be getting a hold of you, PA Bombs, very shortly. All right, so let's fast forward to the review side, and I'm gonna go ahead and do a review like I always do. Make sure you subscribe here at YouTube if you haven't yet, and check out DesignCourse.com. Let's get going. All right, so here is the challenge thread. Let's get started. So just to reiterate here, the idea is the concept must be clever and thought-provoking, and it must have some relevance to the internet tech industry, so web design, web development, programming, etc. Unfortunately, a few of the, like I mentioned earlier, the concepts were a little bit off that mark, or completely off the mark. Okay, so the first entry, our hero arrives. Okay, so this obviously is in reference to the Asteroids game, which I never played, strangely enough. And so I kind of had a hard time understanding this concept. Design-wise, it's really good. I like it. Execution. Initially, I thought, this is a cursor, and that's what the relevance has to the tech industry. I wasn't exactly sure, so I'm sorry for that. But it is actually a good design, so I can't really critique it bad in that sense. So thanks for that submission. All right, so that was a double post. All right, so supposed to represent that you're in love with your computer. Okay, so this isn't really witty or clever, I would say. For what it is in terms of the design, it's not bad, but it's pretty much straightforward. And we were really trying to look for one of the those witty ideas, like the type that you see on the Glenn Jones T-shirt website. So for what it is, though, it's not bad. I like the pixel art, and that's really cool. So thanks for the submission. First attempt. All right. This one I had quite a I pretty much failed chemistry and science and all that in those classes. I hated them. So I had a hard time piecing together, the 333 and what relevance it has to, I know this is CSS and Pseudo elements, but I had a hard time just kind of piecing together exactly what's happening here. For what it is in terms of design, there's not a ton here that I can critique. It wasn't done bad. But yeah, unfortunately, these initial entries kind of really just threw me off. And so unfortunately, I don't have a great review for you. Thanks for the submission though. All right, now this one, there would be some major issues with this one if you were to try to get this placed on a t-shirt. Because this text, it's even hard to read almost here at this size. Now, if it's put onto a t-shirt, it'd be even more difficult because it would likely be smaller than this, and you wouldn't be able to read what this says. I understand the concept here. Jesus press Control S for saved. So that concept there in and of itself isn't bad. It's pretty good. But in terms of, trying to portray the idea here, it kind of falls short. So, you would really want to make this stand out a lot more. And having such a long paragraph here, I would completely scrap it. I would just focus on this and really emphasize the Control S, and trying to draw a parallel between the religion and Christianity and being saved and all that. So thanks for that entry. All right, size down because the file is too big. Okay, looking at this here. All right, so this is just a kind of a very simple play off of the phonics of words. Pause or PAWS sounds the same. So yeah, perhaps in terms of maybe like a dog lover or something, this would be a pretty effective concept. In terms of design and execution, I really like it. Everything's simple. The colors work well. The type is good. I like the thick strokes. and how you emulated, the monitor. Very good. So thanks for that submission. All right, so Sitting on the Dock of the Bay. So for a lot of younger people, they probably wouldn't, of course, everybody's heard this song, but if you're just reading this, that might be a little bit hard to understand. But the concept itself, I do like it. Let's see here, Leaf. Yeah, these are the same individual, Leaf, who did these. So I could tell the style is kind of same. So yeah, this is actually a pretty good concept. Given, assuming a person were to know this song, Sitting on the Dock of the Bay, because most people would probably read that without drawing, unless they really knew those lyrics, which most people don't. But given the lyrics, and assuming you understood it, this would definitely be a good entry right here. So thanks for that. All right, next one. All right, chemist joke. No tripping on acid. So I guess chemistry, not exactly in the same field as, web programming, or, it certainly is nerdy. But this isn't, for what it is, it's not too bad. I think it got a little bit too cluttered in this area right here. Maybe simplifying this would have been a little bit better. But for what it is, it's not bad. Even though it doesn't really have much relevance to, the internet itself. But thanks for the submissions. All right, first attempt. Let's see here. I want to see something real quick. Yeah, Sarah. I see the only thing that was changed here is this number right here, and you're going to have to let me know what's going on. I'm such a failure. All right, so Sarah. All right, second attempt from Sarah again. Base this idea on open source. Not sure if it works. All right, so open source. Chili sauce. So basically, we're coming up with the idea of trying to open a bottle of sauce, aka source. It's kind of a reach to really get people to draw that connection between the internet and open source and just the sauce. So yeah, for ignoring that aspect of it, though, I think the design in and of itself is pretty good. Looking at this right here, I like this one a little bit better. It stands out more. Thanks for that. This one, unfortunately, has no relevance whatsoever, so I'm just going to go ahead and have to, unfortunately, skip that. Let's see here. Anchor text. So this one, for a t-shirt design, this wouldn't be ideal. Just because it's kind of like a very square thing that's kind of thrown on there. Ideally, if you really wanted to portray the same idea, you would get rid of the background. You would focus on just showing the boat itself. That way the boat kind of stands out a little bit more. It's a little bit hard to see here in this context. And you would work with just the boat and this portion and the actual anchor chain link down here. So in terms of the concept, it's pretty good, but the execution just needs a little bit more work, in my opinion. Thanks for that. All right. Okay, so this one, basically conveying frustrations of a developer trying to figure something out. Not too bad. Seems like there's a little bit going on, but still not enough to the point at which a person would have a hard time understanding it. So in terms of the graphics and how everything was designed here, everything here is pretty good. So thanks for the submission. All right, and then this one's just obviously the best out of all of them. Should have been the winner. No, I'm just kidding. This is mine though. So when I was doing this, I was thinking to myself, copy and paste. But generally, scanner, you think of a scanner isn't generally copying. So I may have fell short in my own attempt. So it's quite a challenge when you're trying to come up with these. All right, computer art. The monitor is the canvas. Pretty straightforward. The design's not really that bad, but the one thing that is not correct is the shadow, and specifically the color of the shadow. You're looking for a little bit different, darker type of red. This looks like it's in a different hue, possibly. So it doesn't look very good in terms of being a shadow. But for what it is, not bad. It's definitely a good illustration in terms of the ideas you're trying to convey here. So thanks for that submission. All right, an internet pun that always made me think, what is true behind the tech we use nowadays? Okay, chosen. All right, so one issue here is this text right here, bad contrast issues, basically makes it really difficult to read. So especially if it's on a t-shirt, you wouldn't get this color anyway. So I would remove this completely and then just focus on the dice and the text here. Not too big. I think it would be a little bit more effective too if you really increase the stroke of the black and as well the stroke here and make them even, the same stroke weight on both of these. All right, so thanks for the submission. All right, so USB port. I'm not quite sure how a known port wine is, so I'm still doubting whether I leave the label or just remove it. Honestly, I do drink wine, but I'm not like a wine expert. Definitely not. And so I was kind of confused, honestly, because I didn't know. So ignoring that, just focusing on the design itself, it looks like we could have made this stand out a little bit more, either by changing the background or making this, these colors stand out a lot more, because it's a little bit hard. It just, the whole thing seems dark. So you want it to stand out quite a bit more. So aside from that, though, definitely pretty simple, good concept that you have going here. So thanks for that. All right, let's see here. Now this one does stand out more. I like this a lot better. So definitely a big improvement here. So thanks for that. All right, so Yoda with his lightsaber transformed into an umbrella. So I'm not exactly sure what relevance the umbrella has or this whole image has in terms of, programming, internet, web design, etc. For what it is, if you design this character, it's not too bad. But again, we're kind of just missing the relevance issue. Thanks for the submission, though. All right, so I just realized I missed the tech element. I will upload. All right, so obviously missed the whole tech stuff, but for what this is, pretty good illustration though, and I think barring the relevance issue, it could possibly be pretty a decent seller. So I may want to change it. I would maybe make this quite a bit darker of a purple so that it stands out a little bit more, because there's not a lot of contrast between him and the background. So yeah, thanks for the entry. All right, so let's see here. Press it. Word. Why can I, hopefully I'm not missing something that draws, that's obvious to everyone else. That's what I'm kind of worried about. And so I'm not able to figure out how this has relevance to, the intended topic. With that, having said that, looking at it in terms of the design, it's very expressive, so it's not bad. I'm just having a hard time. It's just one of those entries I was just kind of confused about, unfortunately. Thanks for the submission, though. All right, the Donut Revenge. Okay, again, this is one of those issues where this had nothing to do with the topic, but in terms of the design in and of itself, I like the design of the donuts and the characters and the expressions. Specifically, if we're looking at the strokes, though, you have strokes on almost everything, but then the policemen are, non-stroke, designed characters, and it kind of throws off the consistency of the design. So when you have all these strokes here, but then we have these that are designed in a different fashion, it kind of throws it off. The concept in and of itself, Duncan policeman, that's pretty good. So thanks for that submission. All right, watch the resources. Looking at this down here, sorry, I realized that I failed the topic. So this is one of those issues where the topic wasn't, covered, unfortunately. But having said that, looking at this, there's not too much for me to critique to be able to even say anything, unfortunately, that would be of value to you at least. So sorry for that. Now, look at the second page. Okay. It took me a little bit of time to figure out what was going on here and what the concept was, but that's only because I never knew this was called a peg. Like these things that, you clip on, like you hang clothes on and such. I just call this like clothes hangers. But this once I realized it was called a peg and this in the form of a J, then I was realized, okay, that's pretty unique concept, and it's really done well. As I think maybe the strokes could have been a little bit thicker, but that's a tiny gripe. I think in terms of all the detail and the concept itself, definitely has relevance to the intended topic, and it's designed well, very good. So if I were to have chosen a winner out of all these submissions, it probably would have been this one. So thanks for the submission here. Although one thing to say is the shadow's off. Unfortunately, the shadow doesn't feel like it fits this well enough, but that's not a big deal at all. All right, so looking at this, so the landing page, again, it would be best to completely get rid of the monitor and only focus just on the pages and the helicopter, and maybe not even mention the landing page either. Try to make people think about it, and then it would be a little bit much more effective, in my opinion. So having said that, in terms of the design, a lot of time is spent on this, very good. I just think it would be a little more effective, which you just completely got rid of, the monitor, the clouds, or you could possibly leave the clouds actually, but just not encase it in something like this. So good concept and good submission. All right, web designers, I posted a new thread by accident, new to the site. Okay. All right, so this is pretty literal. I'm not too sure about having all of these, what do you call, the different commands here inside each block of the web. I like the idea, the general idea. We have web, and web can mean internet or it can mean spider web, and combining those ideas. But I'm not sure that if this was the best execution of that idea. So it'd be interesting. Maybe if you want to try it again, try to simplify it and instead of having all these different symbols here, because then it gets a little bit cluttered and just a little bit hard to follow. But thanks for the submission. It's a good concept. jQuery, let's do more. Let's see here. So one thing that I was confused about is this character right here. Almost my children watch SpongeBob, and I see Patrick all the time. This reminded me of Patrick. I think I might get the idea behind this. So we have jQuery, but in front of it, we have, I think this is in reference, to Ajax, I would assume, with a Jax right here. Yeah, I'm not too sure about how obvious this is, unfortunately, though, in portraying what you're trying to portray, assuming that's what you're trying to do. Let me come over here. Thanks for the submission, though. Column 1. All right. All right, so for design, I wanted to represent all things that go into web design development, food and drink, use pizza and energy drinks. This is, oh man, okay. So this is, unfortunately, way too much going on for this to be effective. So the shattered, I'm not sure what this blue thing is. This right here. See, when it comes to really effective concepts, when it comes to logo design and these types of t-shirt designs, you really want to stick with just a couple of elements to focus on. So when you try to bring in all these different elements, it becomes too cluttered and just kind of confusing, unfortunately. So thanks for the submission, though. All right, so here we go. Bad gateway. So this is obviously in reference to some error code that when a website loads, it says bad gateway, and the broken connection here. Not sure what the asterisk would represent. This is one of those concepts. This is a well-designed concept. So design-wise, there's not an issue here. It's done quite well. But in terms of the concept and it being witty and unique or clever, that's the one that's kind of eluding me, unless I'm just not seeing something that I'm supposed to see or you intended me to see. But thanks for the submission. And here we have a penis. All right, so this logo I've done recently for design studios. Some people cannot see proud penis, but this was actually the idea of creating something decent, pure, and controversial at the same time. So how could you get something decent and pure, but also try to make it controversial? I don't know. Anyhow, unfortunately, there's no relevance here in terms of, internet tech and web and in and of the visual aspects of itself. All right, so let's come down here. Okay, this is my design, of course. Now, have you ever heard of the dongle? Now, a dongle, of course, is a small, like a USB stick, and some expensive software requires you to install it, and this is a means of anti-piracy. And whenever I've heard of dongle, I've always heard like dong, so I just had to do this. But I wanted to make it a little bit more elaborate and kind of maybe summarize this into some stupid robotic. I'm messed up, I know. Okay. Looking at this, all right, so PA bombs. Okay, so why did the chicken cross the road to get to the other side, the dark side, thus the Star Wars reference? So this isn't a bad design in and of itself. I think this highlight here could have been a little bit thicker just because it looks pixelized even at this. If we just brought this a little bit thickness right here and maybe just make it tail off, it would have been a little bit better. But for what it is, definitely a good concept, but I would say definitely not relevant to the intended topic of it being internet tech, web design, etc. So of course, there's a lot of geeks and nerds who love Star Wars, but that's not really inclusive to or specific to internet tech, web design, development, programming, etc. Because there's a lot of other people who love Star Wars. But I don't think Glenn really realized that, perhaps when he chose this as the winning design. So that's that. Not a big deal, though. Thanks for the submission. And here is the last one. Okay, so you are the CSS to my HTML. So a little bit difficult. I mean, I understand what this is saying, but I'm not too sure about the execution in terms of, what exactly is the witty part, or if the idea in and of itself makes sense. So CSS is the beauty aspect. Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense to my HTML. So because CSS makes things look pretty in the browser, I guess. And the HTML is just, maybe that's a reference to himself or the guy or something traditionally. This is, not too bad. I'm not too sure if it will work. Ideally, this is kind of like one of the issues we faced in a couple submissions back where I said, get rid of the monitor. In this case, get rid of the browser here. Just focus on the text in and of itself. I would probably even get rid of the press Y, and I would just focus on this. That's it right here. And it would probably be a lot more effective in my opinion. But thanks for that. And those are all the entries. So make sure you subscribe here on YouTube if you haven't yet. Check out designcourse.com with the one-on-one training, the video courses, and I will see you tomorrow with a brand new challenge. All right, goodbye.